Well, hello, everyone. Well, look at this. We are here this evening. I'm here this evening, and this evening's a little different than normal. Normally, have a couple of things and a straight Bible study. Tonight is not so much as a Bible study. Tonight is an encouragement. Okay, tonight is encouragement. As I was going out throughout the day, things were a little off, just a tad bit. And I said, there's sometimes when you just have to stop for a minute. Stop, just stop, just stop. And in stopping, I realized, and in my Bible study and in my time with the Lord, I said, what's going on here? And this is when I was brought to Isaiah 55, 6 through 11. Because just like me, I know a lot of you are sometimes like, what's going on? What's going on? I'm feeling just a little bit off. I'm not really in my norm, you know. Things have been happening, and nothing bad per se, but life goes on. Okay, life it continues, and as life does what life does, sometimes we get to a place where we just have to be still for a minute. And that's when, as I was reading Isaiah, in this chapter right here, it's talking about the wealth of the Lord and what we'll get and how he would do these things for us and move forward. But it was 6 through 11 that caught my attention, that truly caught my attention. And in 6 through 11, he said, seek God while he's still here to be found. Okay? Pray to him while he's close at hand. Let the wicked abandon their way of life and the evil their way of thinking. Let them come back to God who is merciful. Come back to our God who is lavish with forgiveness. I don't think the way you think. The way you work isn't the way I work, God's decree. For as the sky soars high above earth, so the way I work surpasses the way you work. And the way I think is beyond the way you think. Just as the rain and the snow descends from the skies and don't go back until they've watered the earth. So I begin to look at that, doing their work of making things grow and blossom, producing seed from farmers and food for the hungry. So will the words that come out of my mouth and not come back empty handed. My words will not return void, is what he's saying here. My words will not return void. So I begin to look at that, and a lot of us see what Isaiah is saying here. And we hear what Isaiah is saying, but we really don't hear what he's saying. We really don't hear it. And I begin to look at that and say, seek, return, and remember. If God has given you a word, there's a stillness where people are not moving forward. People are not moving forward because we've stopped seeking his face. We've stopped returning back to his word, and we don't remember what was said. So tonight I'm asking you and sharing with you, because I had to do the same. I had to get back to the place where I would seek his face. And that's what Isaiah is saying. Seek the Lord while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near. Let the wicked forsake his way and the unrighteous man his thoughts. Let him return to the Lord that he may have compassion on him. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, says the Lord. Do y'all get that? My thoughts are not your thoughts, says the Lord. And so, for as the rain and the snow come down from heaven and do not return there, but water the earth, making it bring forth and sprout, giving seed to the sower and bread to the eater, so shall my word be that goes out of my mouth. It shall not return to me empty. It shall not return void. Whatever God has said to you and promised to you, it will not return void. And this is what we have to remember. Whatever promise that was made to you, whatever promise that was made, this is your time to look around you, look around and get an understanding of what he's saying. If he promised it to you, that's why Isaiah is telling us, if he's promised it to you, just because it doesn't look the way you think it should be looking right now, but that was a promise. And it said that my word shall not return void. His word will not return void. So let me tell you something. If he promised you a corporation and you see yourself, vision yourself going forth and doing these things, well, then you have to go back. Where did I miss it? Because he's telling us right here, it shall accomplish that which I purpose, and shall succeed in the thing for which I sent it. It shall succeed. His word. He is not a man that he should lie. Okay, he can't lie. So if he promised this to you, and he did. And so if he promised this to you, then we have to come out of living the way we've been living. And you have to go for it. Just go for it. That's all this message is about tonight. Go for it. Go for it. Okay? Nothing long, nothing extravagant. Just go for it. Seek him. Take some time. How do we seek? Remember back in the day, we used to play hide and seek? You know, somebody would go high, we had to go after them. And it seems like God has hidden himself from you. And now you got to go after that thing. All right. Some of us want to go to a place where we want to go and build on top of something that someone else has already built. You don't have to go and seek First National. You don't have to go and seek Capital One because it's already there. You have to go and seek what you are supposed to be building. You have to go and seek and get an understanding of what you're supposed to be doing. That's what this is about. And then return, because sometimes we have to return back to the place and come back and say, God, you know what? I was doing this thing. I was working on it. I was going my way. And somewhere along the line, I kind of fell off a little bit. Okay, I did. I fell off a little bit. And so this is where he says, now you got to remember. You got to remember who you are. That's the bottom line up front. You have to remember who you are. If you are waiting on someone to tell you who you are, that's the problem. This is why we have to get into the word. This is why we have to understand that going all the way back to the beginning, this is the seeking piece. If you don't know who you are, let me help you out. You go all the way back to Genesis. Let us make man. That's what he told. Let us make man in our own image. Let us make man in our own image. And he says he made us a little bit lower than angels. Beloved, listen. You were made in his image. All right. If you're trying to figure out who you are, you were made in his image. And because of that, you will succeed. You will survive. But you got to go back and remember that. You got to return back to that. Because, see, we get out in the world and we get in groups of people and they begin to tell you who you are. And you begin to believe that because there's no substance there. There's nothing to hold on to. There's nothing to help guide you. There's nothing there. And so now you're looking and you're like, God, I'm about to give up on this thing. But if you can remember who you are, just remember who you are. There have been things that have come about, and we are so busy in this natural experience, we forget about the spiritual. We forget about the spiritual. You forget you're a spiritual being, okay, and experiencing a natural encounter. All right. This is why he said, I knew you before you entered your mother's womb. That's got to be a spirit. Okay. I knew you before you entered your mother's womb. So now you have to go back and begin to remember. You got to go back and begin to remember who you are, who he called you to be. And so that is where, remember when we talked about, we were talking about this old prophet we call Eli. All right. We called Eli. And he was taking care of a younger prophet we call Samuel. And God kept calling Samuel. Y'all remember that? He kept calling him. And a little bit old Samuel would run back to Eli and say, yes, my Lord. Yes, my Lord. And so Eli was up. No, I didn't call you. Go back to bed. And the child would go back to bed and he'd run right back. God would call him again. And he'd run back to Eli? And he said, you called me. And no, son, I didn't call you. And so he's sitting back to bed. And it was at that time that Eli got a clue and said, oh, wait a minute. He had to go back. He had to return back to his ways. He's like, wait a minute. That's the Lord. That's the Lord calling this child. So when the child came back, he said, if he calls you again, and that's when you say, yes, Lord, here am I. All right. Your servant. Here am I, your servant. I hear it thee. Here am I. So we need to go back because God is calling you. God has called you, and you need to start seeking why he may be found. Seek his face while he may be found. Seek him. And so stop seeking everything else. Stop seeking somebody reading your palms, because all that came from God. Okay? All of that. So stop seeking all of that. Stop seeking out the prophets to give you a word. You got itchy ears. I just need a word. I just need a word. I just need a word from the Lord. No. You just need to open up the book. That's all you need to do. You just need to open up the book. You need to get in prayer. You're looking around and everything, you're saying everything is falling apart. No, you need to open the book. Just open the book. Just take some time. If you would take, I promise you, if you would take about 15 minutes out of your day, open up the book and let it read you. Open up the book and let it read you. Open up the book and begin to read. When I begin to read Isaiah 55 at the very beginning, it began to read me. Okay, it began to read me because I'm sitting up here like, oh my God, the first thing in verse 6, seek the Lord while he may still be found and call upon him while he is near. That's the seeking. And when you call upon him while he is near, and he says, at that point, you got to stop and come out, return from your wicked ways. And because he has compassion. He has compassion on you. He has compassion on us. I'm not removed from this. I'm in this group with you, I promise you. And so this is why when you say, well, where do they get the messages from? Because God is dealing with the messenger. Things are being downloaded to the messenger. The messenger is going before and seeking and saying, okay, God, what is it that you want for the people? What's the word that you want to go forward right now? What is it? And as you begin to read and you begin to reflect on what you've been going through and where you are in life right now, and you begin to say, wait a minute, I'm no different than the people that I'm ministering to. Because guess what? We're all having this human experience. We're all going through this. And life is happening for all of us. But you just, and I wish I could jump through this screen and just say, listen, wake up. God has so much for you. He has so much for you. Stop letting people tell you to go somewhere and sit down. Okay, stop that. We're going to talk about that. Stop that. You don't have to go and sit down, because what you're searching for and why it's so uncomfortable and you're moving back and forth and you feel like you're just antsy and some things supposed to be happening because he's downloaded so much in you, and he's downloaded that. And so I knew you before you entered your mother's womb. So I had a mission for you. You came into the earth with a mission. You came forward with a mission. Mary's mission, he knew her before she entered her mother's womb. Her mission was to bring forth our Lord. I knew you before you entered your mother's womb. So you got to think about that. What God has given you. What did he download? That thing that you're going, and it's not spooky. You try to get away from things. You know what? I just feel like I'm just a little crazy here because I can't shake this thing. I can't get away from it. But the only thing you have to do is remember that his word will not return void. All right. You have dreams. You're dreaming more now. All right. That's how God talks to us in our dreams. And so we're dreaming more now. And we're like, oh my God, but I don't see it. I don't see it. I think it was the leopards, the 10 leopards. And as they went, he said, go show yourself to the priest. Go show yourself to the priest. Okay. And they began to walk, right? And they began to walk and they were healed. But one came back and he was made whole. He said, well, they're not 10, but one came back and was made whole. So the thing of it is, will you be the one as you're walking this thing out? We says return. This is what we're talking about today. Seek, return, and remember. Will you be the one to go show yourself to the priest? But then you got to return back. And he says, well, they're not 10. And so you have been made whole. That one was made whole. Will you be like the woman with the issue of blood? Okay? That she's seeking him so, and she's seeking him out because she knows that my healing is with him. My healing is right here. If I'm to go forward, then I got to be with him. And I don't even need to be in his presence long. I just need to touch the hem of his garment. That's all I need to do. I just need to touch the hem of his garment. If I could just do that, and when you do that, it says virtue went out of him. I'm telling y'all, when you do that, virtue goes out of him. Okay? To have that type of faith, to have that type of courage that you're just going to go after this thing. You said, I'm trying to go after this thing. I ain't got a dime in my pocket. As they went, they were healed. As she kept and just kept going, seeking after him. And she finally caught up with him. And I just got to get through this crowd. I just got to touch him. And that's what's going to happen. And he said, your faith, daughter, your faith has made you whole. Family, I'm just trying to tell you, it's going to be your faith that makes you whole. If you just continue to seek him, return wherever you've been. Come on back. Come on back. You don't have to quit. Don't quit on you. Don't quit on him. Don't quit on us, because we need that gift. We need that gift. We need that gift that's down inside of you. All right. We need you. There's some pastors out here who have quit. There's some ministers that's supposed to be walking in the office of pastor, but they quit because they've gone into places into dry places. And the light shining in the darkness, and the darkness recognized it not. All right. You're going in there shining. What you're doing, people getting jealous. People getting upset. And why are they getting upset? And why are they getting jealous? Because insecurities. I don't know what you're bringing up in here. I don't understand how this is going to affect me, how it's going to affect this ministry. And so I'm telling y'all, you just keep going. A revival is in the air. A revival is in this season. And so as we continue to move on and move forward, we got to seek. And then we got to return back. Get back to that posture of prayer. Get back to that posture of prayer. Get back to that posture of understanding. Get back to where you can hear him. You got to be able to hear him, because if you can't hear him, you can't go for. You got to be able to hear, because when we can hear, we can see. The blind man, as long as he can hear and he can feel, all of his other senses have gone and they're taken over, and he's doing just fine. No sight whatsoever, but he can hear. And because he can hear, and because he can feel, because he can do all these other things, he can see. You got to be able to see. And so now remember what he says. What did he say? Verse 11, so shall my word go that goes out from my mouth. It shall not return to me empty, but it shall accomplish that which I purpose, and shall succeed in the thing for which I sent it. It shall accomplish it if you let it. And he's talking about you. He put that word down inside of you. He put that purpose down inside of you. He put that dream down inside of you. He put that goal down inside of you. That destiny, he put it down inside of you. He put all that down inside of you. So it will not. But I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. If you're sitting there scared and you're operating and functioning in fear, and you just sit on this thing, and then you look up down the street, you're like, wait a minute. That was my idea. I was going to do that. Well, he told you right here, but it shall accomplish that which I purpose, and it shall succeed in the thing for which I sent it. So if I said there's going to be a church in Nolanville, then there's going to be a church in Nolanville. And you guys, you heard it a long time ago. You started working towards this thing a long time ago. But then you stopped. And now you get ready and you're like, okay, but I don't see the money. I don't see the building. I don't see the people. Well, somebody else did. Somebody else saw it. Somebody else was like the woman with the issue of blood. If I could just get out there and grab a hold to his garment. Somebody else was like the 10 lepers as they went. Somebody was like that one that came back and he had to say, were there not 10? Were there not 10? And so that person was made whole. You understand what I'm saying to you? You gotta, this is your jam. I'm telling you, it's time. It's time. It was, I'm gonna tell y'all a little story. We're about to we're finished, and I went through the doctoral program and getting ready to go to my graduation next week. Getting ready to go to my graduation. And as we were moving on and moving forward, somebody made the comment that we were talking about different ministries. And it was a particular ministry that I had asked about and looking forward in it. And what the person said, and they meant no harm. God knows they meant no harm. This is why I tell you, you got to know who you are. You have to know who you are. And what the person said was, as we move forward, I can see how certain populations are gonna, with your vibe, I know what population you're going to be ministering to. I know who you're going to be going out there with, and how things are going to be looking for you because of that vibe. And I didn't understand. I'm like, what vibe? What are we talking about? What populations are you talking about? Because see, this is the word of God. When we go out, we talk to people. And I realized, he said, no, 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 no. When he realized I was offended, he tried to fix it. And he didn't mean any offense. He just spoke to where the body is, because we are a peculiar people. And being a peculiar people, a royal priesthood, everybody's not looking alike. I don't have to look like you, and you don't have to look like me. And because I look a certain way doesn't mean I was coming to a particular population of people. I need to understand what you're talking about. But God understood. And so later on, he came back and he says, I know you were a little offended. He said, but I meant no offense. What I'm saying is, it's time for the people of God to stop hiding. Because if if you're wearing a piercing, and that's your lifestyle, that's who you are, don't take it out just because you're coming into the church. Don't take it out because we're doing this broadcast, and then as soon as we finish the broadcast, I put it back in. So you got to seek and return and remember who you are. Now, that could have devastated me, right? That could have devastated me. I knew she was going with it, but it didn't, because I know who I am. I know who God has called me to be. I know I can stand. I'm gonna stand on his promises, and his word will not return void. I mean, and I'm looking at this, and I was like, oh my God. So this is what happens to our young people when they're trying to come into the body, because we don't look like the older generations. Okay, that legalistic mentality. Okay, you got to have on stockings, you got to have this, and you got to have that. So, and this is why the ministries that you have, that's why it's important, because people are being ostracized. They don't know. They know that they're supposed to be part of the body. They know that they're supposed to be fed. They know that their pastor is out there somewhere. But see, the pastor is still running up behind the old regime. The pastor out there still trying to fit in. And there's a body of people that need to be ministered to, because God has already put that down inside of you. And when they hear the voice, okay, they're going to hear the voice, and they're going to see you, and they're going to understand that that's my man or woman of God. Okay, so if you're walking to this is just and I've tried to be like everybody else, but no, 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 no. Let us make man in our image. Okay, in our image. All right, you're gonna get this. I need you to get this. And so that ministry that you have, it may be fostering kids that have been in the juvenile system. It may be that. And because of your background, all right, you can empathize and meet them where they are. And they need to hear your voice. They need to see your tattoos. All right. There's one guy, a good friend of mine, tattooed, I mean, from the ears up everywhere. Okay. And so, but when he gets out in the streets and he gets to ministering to these babies, they just gravitate to him because he's speaking their language. He understands where they are. He can look them dead in the eyes and say, you know what, partner, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. And I'm going to tell you why it's not going to work. And then he goes into his testimony. I'm going to tell you why it's not going to work. All right. I used to gang bang. I'm telling you, that's not going to work. And so everybody is running from their calling because they're running from their past. And all of that works together for the good. All of that. And have you noticed when you're out here in the communities and when you're talking and when you're ministering, it's like everything just stops because they need you. They need you. And so come on out. Do the work of the evangelist. Speak the word. Be heard. God is sending your name before you. He's sending your name before you. You're like, what? That does not make sense. I'm telling you, because his word will not return void. And that's something that you should be accomplishing in the earth. If you continue to seek him and return to him and let him begin to build and shape and mold you and remember who you are in him, I promise you, you're going to be sitting here doing the same thing. Your ministry, stop with the traditionalism. Stop that. Stop that with the legalism. Stop that. I looked at a movie the other night, Under an Open Heaven. Under an Open Heaven. Now we know Oprah did Greenleaf when she talked about the Black church. Okay. Now Under Open Heaven is talking about the Mormon belief and how how people become fundamentalists and they just take the word of God and they twist it to justify their wrongdoing in their actions. So God has put that down in you, that righteous indignation that can't stand to see people mistreated. They can't stand it. You're always rooting for the underdog and for the underserved. You're doing that because you know what it means and how it feels to be knocked down, to be stepped on, to be abused, to be rejected. You know what that means. They need to know that out in these streets. They need to come into the fold. They are looking for leaders. They're looking. Is he calling you? Is he calling you? Okay, will you answer the call? You see, because this is what we need. We need real folk out here with real experiences to talk about these things. Our babies are dying by the wayside. And the ones that are killing them, they need a word too. You just don't get up one day and just go, oh, I'll shoot everybody. No. People have been seeing that. And they've been, and you've been brushing it off. You've been brushing this stuff off. It was like, now I know, old boy, that's just old boy. He just do that. No, old boy just needed some help. Old boy needed somebody to talk to. Old boy needed somebody to redirect. And so now we're looking at all of this because we're too busy. We're too busy. We're too busy. We're too busy. Too busy doing nothing, not accomplishing anything. So now get back, seek him, return back to the one who called you, and remember the promise. Remember the promise. Can we do that? Can we do that? Like I told you, I'm not going to be before you long. That's what I came by to say tonight. Remember who you are in him. We need you. We need you. And as we go and begin to move about with our revival, because right now, and I'll be posting the schedule, we're going to be doing, when we talk about revival, these are the different cities and the places that we're going. All right. And so right now we're looking at Austin. We're looking at Richardson, up near Dallas. And we're going to be going and moving forward. In July, going to be in New Jersey. And so, and I'm working with another bishop, and we're looking at Flint, Michigan. All these places God is taking, and this is going, it's just going, it's going and going, it's going. And we're going to need people to come along and say, hey, Doc, where are you? What's happening in your community? What's the need there? What are the problems that's going on in that community? See, the people of God, we got to start talking. Hey, Doc, we got a drug problem here. Like up in DeSoto, the mayor up there said, we could use a revival. And so now there's some other pastors up there. Yeah, come on, we can use a revival up here. This is how we do this. We got a world to change. And it's not going to change by sitting up talking to you and your four and no more. It's time to go. It's time to go out to the highways and the byways. It's time to do this. And only you can do it. It's time to build the community. We're fussing about different things in the community, who didn't support who. But wait a minute. We need to come together. We need to come together and build a kingdom. Build the kingdom. That part right there. All right? That part. You got the old and the new. You got the Old Testament and the New Testament. And we should be able to reside together. Because in the end of the day, there were two greatest commandments. Love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, mind, spirit, and soul, and have no other God before thee. And love thy neighbor as thyself. We got to teach that word. We can't get into that word because you're too busy looking at a nose ring. You can't get past that. You know, if that's the God that we serve, that would keep you out of heaven because you got a piercing, we got to regroup. We got to regroup. That's all I'm trying to tell you. All right. So let's come together. Let's do this thing. Let's move forward. It's time to build. It's time to build these centers. It's time to get back to the orphanage concept because these babies in this welfare system, no. That's what a church is. We are the church. We have to build. We have to give them a place of refuge to come in and be with us. This is where you're going to be safe, because we calling folks out. Don't come in here looking like Uncle Bad Touch because I'm going to call you. No, doc, you need some help. All right. And you need to go get the help. Or there's a system in place for that. That can help you go get the help. But these babies will not have to deal with that. It will be a safe environment. But it takes the people of God to know who you are. That's all I'm saying. Just know who you are. That's a mission. And we need you. And it requires you. Because what he said, I knew you before you entered your mother's womb. You were placed in that womb for a reason. You were placed in that womb for a purpose. You were placed in that womb, because he says, I have sent my word and it will not return void. When he placed you in the womb, that's why you were placed there. All right. That word was on you. And you're like, is it that simple? It is that simple. It is that simple. So with that being said, I'm going to get ready to get off of here. This is something that it's just been on me. It's been heavy on me. It's been heavy on me. This revival it's been heavy. I was out running, and I know I do my little morning inspirations. And I the other day I was out running, and I shared this with everybody this morning. I'll share it again here. And I'm out running, and the rain started coming down. It was just, oh my God. And it was raining. Y'all know how it was yesterday. But I got out early. I thought I was getting out early before the rain. And so I get to running. I'm at the halfway point. So I got to make it back. And the rain is coming down. I'm looking for shelter. So, but this is where it says, run through the rain. And that's what he began to tell me. Just run through the rain. Whatever issues, you got to run through that thing. And I'm running, I'm looking. And the reason you got to run through it, the reason you got to seek, the reason we have to return, the reason we have to remember, the reason we have to run through the rain is because when you're going through the rain, and I'm going to close it right here. When you're going through the rain, you're careful of how you place your feet. You're careful about your steps, where you're stepping, because if you step wrong, you can slip and fall, and ain't nobody out there. So you're running in the rain. So you're very strategic. Okay. You're very focused on where you're placing your feet. You're very focused. All of your senses right now has gone into you getting through this storm. You can't stop. Now I could have stopped and let you slip. The rain fell down on, but I got to get through the storm now. I got to run through this thing. I got to make my way through it. And I got to do this without being concerned about getting wet, about being concerned about being cold. Was I uncomfortable? Yeah, it was very uncomfortable, but you got to get through the storm. You got to run on through this thing. I don't care what's happening, run on through it. And when you're running on through it, you're stepping on depression. When you're running on through it, you're stepping on anxiety. When you're running on through it, you're stepping on fear. Okay, when you run on through it, you're stepping on negativity. You're stepping on all these things that have been holding you down. Run on through the storm. But keep seeking him, return to him, and remember who you are. You are a child of the king. You are a child of the king. You can't be living like dogs. And what I mean by that, come out the slums. Put the bottles down. Put all that foolishness down. Clean your nose up. Stand up. We got a world to change. There's some things that we do. And so you're going to have to run through that storm. You're going to have to get that thing off you. All right? And if we need to start getting a group together, we come on here and talk about it, then let's talk about it. But you got things that can't nobody do in this earth but you. Other people can do it, but they're not going to do it like you. All right? Other people can come and copy. You see a lot of copycats, especially in this area. But can't nobody do it like you because you were anointed to do this thing. That was your call. That was yours right there. Can't nobody take that from you. They can try. You know how you get a certain hairstyle, then you start seeing everybody, but can't nobody wear it like you. You can get your little glasses and everybody, but can't nobody wear it like you. That was for you. This call, this thing that we're doing, it's for you. This revival is for you. And if there's a revival that needs to take place in your area, holla, so we can get this thing going. Okay? You got to build the people up. People want to work. They just don't know where to go. They don't know who to connect with. Everybody trying to do their own thing. You won't get anywhere doing this all by yourself. You'll be a lonesome dove all by yourself. Okay, your feathers begin to fall off and be plucked and all of that because there's no help. Stop that. Let's come on, work together. Can we work together? Can we move forward? Can we do this thing? I know we can and we will because that's the God that we serve, y'all. It is. So, with that being said, run through the rain, run through the storm. Go read Isaiah 55. I would challenge you to read the entire chapter. I don't know, I'm in the book of Isaiah. Okay. Last week we talked about 53, the lost chapter. So he got me stuck in Isaiah. Guess this is where we're going to be for a minute. All right. And so we're going to keep going and doing this because he's talking to us. He's talking to us. He's talking to you, talking to me. And I'm going to tell the folks what he say. All right. I'm going to run tell somebody about it. There's one thing I've always had a problem with, my mouth. And now I understand why. So I can talk to everybody. And so, yeah. And you can't be scared. All right. Put that fear back there. Woo! Can't, You have nothing to be afraid of. You have nothing to be afraid of. You don't. You don't. All right. Get a little gangster in you. All right. Go on, stand toe to toe with folks when they trying to sit up there and talk all that craziness. Yeah, know who you are. Know who you are. I talked to a little a minister and the other day, and the individual was so timid, and I was like, "Woman of God, what is this? What is this? I know God called me to do something. Well, first of all, can nobody hear you? What he called you to do? What? Hold up your head. I'm looking at what you're looking at. Hold your head up. He called you to do what? Well, I'm going to encourage you. I said, okay. And as I let her keep talking, and I realized why she was so timid. Okay. Everywhere this person had been, she'd been talked about, she'd been rejected. And so what you were seeing was all the weight that was on her, and that she was broken at that point. And she said, I know I said, no. What you gotta do is heal. Okay? What you gotta do is heal. Yeah. Get your healing so we can go out and do this thing. You gotta heal first. Come out of these dry places. Stop going in these places where these folks always have already got their little kingdoms built up. They already got their little kingdoms built up, and you coming in with a word from the Lord, and they keep pushing you down and shutting you down and pushing you back and telling you can't talk, and now you're sitting there because like Jeremiah is like fire shut up in your bones, and you're trying to move forward, and they keep telling you, no, God ain't called you to do that because intimidation and insecurities or whatever their problem is not your problem. So move forward. Find your voice. It's okay. Stand. Come on out the darkness. Come on out the shadows. Stand. Okay? Let's get this thing done. This is our world. This is our society. This is our community. You got to take it back. And the only way you're going to do that is seeking him, returning, remembering that his word will not return void. Run through this thing. Run. No, run. Okay? Run through it. Run through it. Run through it. Anyway, I'm going to see y'all. We will not be on Sunday. All right? I'm going out of town. But I will tell you this, when we come back, I'm going to come back with a dear friend of mine, Bishop Rashetta. And we're going to talk about what God has laid out as far as this revival. We're going to talk about this thing, okay? The first place is going to be in Richardson. I'm going to come back with the exact date. And we're going to have a good time up there. So I want y'all to come out with us. All right? Let's come out and have some fun. All right? In the Lord. Come on out, okay? We're going to do some things in this community. Well, in that community up there. Yeah. So come on out with us. Let me know. Hit me up in my inbox. Let me know if you're interested. And because we're gonna need prayers. We're gonna need ministers. We're gonna need you. We're gonna need you. All right. All right. Okay. Well, with that being said, I love you guys. I really do. I really do. And if you don't know who you are, give me a call. If you have allowed this world and others to make you believe other than what God is saying, this is when we have got to get you to your rightful place in Him and move forward. Okay? As a man thinketh in his heart, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So what you think about yourself matters. What you think about you matters. And if what you think about you is not what God is saying about you, well, we got to change that. We got to cut that off. All right? We got to cut that off. We got to turn that around. And you can turn it around in Jesus' name. Y'all be blessed. I love you. And like I said, I'm going to be talking to y'all a little bit later. And if you're not saved, you need to know Christ this day. Just ask him to come into your heart. Tell him I want you to be my Lord and Savior. Okay? I need you to believe that he's the Son of God. That's why I said, come into my heart. Okay? That you died for us, you were crucified, you hung, died, and bled for me. All right? But you rose on the third day. Can you believe that? Do you want to know more about that? Do you want somebody to teach you about that? Holla. Okay? So we can get that going. Peace. Love you guys, and good night.